Hi everyone, how you doing? Okay, so in this video I'm going to show you some movies and I'm going to talk briefly about a meetup that I had. So I just recently went back to the UK for a very short visit. It's been quite a while since I was last back over there, so the journey was just to go and catch up with family mainly and just to assure them that I don't actually live just inside this small screen. So yeah, really good to see family and just have that time together. But whilst I was there, I did of course get to explore a few charity shops and also get to see what some of you have been talking to me about, which is that store CEX. I hadn't heard of that one before, so I got to go to a couple of CEX stores and just see what that was like for myself. Okay, so now I will show you what I picked up. First of all, a big thanks to my sister. She actually does pay attention to some of my videos, and when I talk about some movies that I haven't always had in my collection, she has looked out for them for me, and she had a pile of movies ready waiting for me to take home. So what I picked up from my sister were these ones. The Hammer movies, The Abominable Snowman. So I do have this as a sort of fan-made copy of The Abominable Snowman of the Himalayas. But yeah, I absolutely love this Hammer movie starring Peter Cushing and from a script by Nigel Neal. But yeah, great to have this particular edition. She also had for me this great Alain Delon Screen Icons box set. Now the only one that I have already is Un Flic, which I have the Kino Lorber edition of that. And yeah, I've seen Plan Soleil, love that one, Purple Noon. But yeah, great to have the other ones here. And sticking with Alain Delon, she got me this one, Rocco and His Brothers. And then I've talked about this one before on my channel. This is the silent movie Wings, directed by William A. Wellman. I did a particular video talking about the films of William A. Wellman. But yeah, great to now have this in the collection. Fantastic silent movie. And then another one we've talked about before, Day of the Outlaw. And quite a few of us talked about this one not too long ago. But yeah, I didn't actually have it in my collection, so great that she was able to find me a copy. As well as a BFI copy here of John Cassavetes' film Opening Night. So I do have this film on the John Cassavetes 5 films box set that's put out by Criterion, but this BFI set is really rather nice, so glad to have this. And another film where I do have a Kino Lorber edition, which has a great extra Silent Britain documentary that comes with it. But this fantastic BFI release of Anthony Asquith's A Cottage on Dartmoor, definitely pleased to have this. This has a bunch of extras that I don't have. So yeah, very, very nice release. And absolutely, I maintain that this is one of the very best films from British silent cinema. Definitely check it out if you haven't seen it. And then also she got me this, the fantastic The Edge of the World by Michael Powell, another BFI release. So really, really pleased to have this. Okay, now moving on to the charity shops and CEX. Now I must say with CEX, I went to a couple of those stores. Yeah, pretty good to see what they had in there, but I was surprised at just how many discs were scratched. So every time I got excited about finding something a little bit uncommon, I ended up having to put it back because it was scratched. But still, between CEX and all the other charity shops, this is what I picked up. This 4-film set, which I got primarily for Lewis Collins here in Who Dares Wins, which in America is released as The Final Option. Now, I'm definitely not going to say this is a great movie, but this one definitely, I just remember the time and place of watching this, and yeah, it's just good to have it in the collection. A network release here, we've got an early film for Barbara Shelley, The Solitary Child. Carry On Dick, and this one comes with extra material. Not quite sure if you want extra dick, but there you go. Knives Out, really good fun film. Alien Autopsy with Anton Deck. Now I got this one actually just because it was a nice coincidence because it had actually featured in one of the presentations done at the BFI when I went there, because this film is about two guys finding found footage of the Roswell incident back in 1947, and they just used some of the clip of this film in the BFI presentation that I went to, so I just thought it was fun to find this. And then similarly, Baji on the Beach, this is directed by Gurinder Chadha, and when I went to the BFI Special Collections presentation, they were talking about Gurinder Chadha, so yeah, good to find this in relation to that. Detour, directed by Christopher Smith. Now, I got this one because I'm a big fan of Christopher Smith's Triangle, but actually I think I actually may have seen this film before and didn't like it. But yeah, so I don't remember, but we will see. Hell or High Water, great movie written by Taylor Sheridan with Jeff Bridges. And from director Cleo Barnard, this is Dark River with Ruth Wilson. I really like Cleo Barnard's film The Arbor and The Selfish Giant. I quite like finding these best of British films, and here's an early one with Frankie Howerd, Jumping for Joy. The Last Duel, directed by Ridley Scott, one of the few films he hasn't tinkered with yet. Yeah, I enjoyed this one, kind of Rashomon inspired and pretty good performances. I was expecting there to be perhaps 2 hours of bloopers on this with Ben Affleck and Matt Damon laughing at each other's haircuts, but no. Michael Jackson in Moonwalker. Pretty bonkers horror movie this one with Christopher George and Linda Day George. This is Pieces. And then Melissa George in a horror thriller here called Paradise Lost, also known as Touristas. From recent years, we've got Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween Kills and Kenneth Branagh's Belfast. Alistair Sim and Margaret Rutherford in Frank Launder's The Happiest Days of Your Life. And then written and directed by Peter Strickland. This is Sidse Babett Knudsen in The Duke of Burgundy. She's just an actress that interests me. She was in Borgen as well as in Westworld. Can't believe I've never actually had this in my collection, but great to now have it. Just such a beautiful, timeless classic, this one, Gregory's Girl. And then another network release here. We've got John Hurt and Hayley Mills in Mr. Forbush and the Penguins. And then we've got the Marx Brothers in one of their best, A Night at the Opera. And then finally, I can't help thinking of Stuart George, unfortunately now, when I think of Richard Chamberlain, but this is The Slipper and the Rose. Fantastic. It's got slippers, it's got roses. Come on, man, what else do you want? Fantastic. And now on to the meetup side of things. It was a bit of a funny coincidence, this one. I hadn't actually let anybody know in advance that I was coming over to the UK, because really this was a trip just to see my family. I didn't really have too much time. But yeah, quite a funny coincidence happened. So one day I was down on the South Downs walking around with my family. I absolutely love the South Downs. It's just such a beautiful area. Beachy Head, Burling Gap. I don't know if anybody knows that area, but it's just absolutely beautiful. A lot of cliff erosion, so buildings keep having to be moved back. The cafe at Burling Gap gets moved back. And this lighthouse building, Beltut, that has been moved back a couple of times. And with regard to Beltut, we were talking about how that's been used in movies such as She-Devil, The Life and Loves of a She-Devil, as well as in the film The Chalk Garden, which stars Deborah Kerr and Hayley Mills. And we were wondering about which house may have been used for the filming of that, because there's a view from the house which actually looks out toward Beltut. Now, in actual fact, the house is over the hill and in a place called Alfriston, so you wouldn't actually have been able to see Beltut from the house, but nonetheless, it's just a bit of fun to think about that. Anyway, that day I went home, and in the evening I was just catching up on a few people's movie YouTube videos, and one presenter happened to be talking about The Chalk Garden as one of the films that he just recently watched. So I thought that was quite a funny coincidence. I put a comment on his video. And then very fortunately I got a comment back just saying that actually if I was near London, then possibly we could arrange a meetup. So I actually had one day left in my trip. I was able to message back. We were able to arrange a meetup. I suggested meeting at the BFI South Bank because I thought that would be a suitable kind of place to meet. But with my inept planning, it actually turned out that when we got there, the BFI bar was closed and so was their shop. So we ended up having to go outside, but quite fortunately found a really good pub. So the person that I met up with is, it was Warren at Goose's Movies, and I'm really pleased that I was able to meet up with Warren. I really haven't met any movie YouTubers before, so yeah, this was just a really fun opportunity to get to meet, and I really like Warren. I like his style on his videos. I'm sure anybody that already knows Warren's channel, Goose's movies, you'll already be a fan. I mean, I think he's one of the best guys in terms of actually displaying and presenting his steelbooks and movies, and I really like his movie taste. It's quite different to mine a lot of the times, but he takes in a broad range of movies, and so that makes his comments always interesting. I'm always discovering a few new things from him, and he always has interesting ideas. He also did a trip to Belgium last year where he went to a Tintin museum, so there's just always interesting stuff on Goose's Movies channel. So yeah, absolutely great to have the opportunity to meet him. We were in a great pub with leather high back chairs. It really felt like we should be sitting with pipes, but yeah, it was good for I think an hour and a half, couple of hours. We got to chat, and I'm just really grateful that Warren was able to make the time for that, and we had that opportunity to meet up. So if you're watching, thanks again very much, Warren. It was really good to have that opportunity. Anyway, that is it then for this video. I do have some more videos to show you of things I've picked up since I got back from the UK, so that'll be coming very soon. Thanks very much for watching this. Let me know your comments on any of the movies, and hope to see you again. Okay, all the best to you. Bye-bye.